Available on Blu-ray from Cauldron Films is the 1980 Italian crime drama Eurocrime thriller Contraband, starring Fabio Testi and directed, interestingly enough, by Lucio Fulci. If that name rings a bell, well, then you know why I'm bringing it up. And if you don't know the name Lucio Fulci, he was the godfather of gore. Well, that's Herschel Gordon Lewis. He was the Italian godfather of gore. He was an Italian director, filmmaker who is best known for really gruesome horror movies. He did Zombie, probably his best known film. He did City of the Living Dead, which actually he made the same year as Contraband, and The Beyond, and on and on and on. He worked in multiple genres. He worked in comedy. He worked in westerns. Four of the Apocalypse is one that I know Anchor Bay put out years ago on video here. Blue Underground too. And he's really best known for the horror film. So he did this movie smack dab in the middle of his horror run, or smack dab at the start of his horror run, or smack dab. He made this film in 1980. And again, Fabio Testi stars as one of two brothers. He has a brother. And they are cigarette smugglers, which apparently I learned from the extras was sort of an ongoing thing in Italy for a good long period of time. People would just smuggle in goods and sell them at, a markup, but still a discount to their fellow Italians. And it was a thing. It was illegal, but it was a thing. So these guys, the movie opens with a pretty daring boat chase with explosion and all kinds of crazy stunts when they're raided by the authorities in accepting a shipment of illegal smokes. And as the film goes on, the brother, who is not Fabio Testi, and I don't want to give a lot away, but the brother who's not Fabio Testi winds up getting ambushed in a fake police roadblock, getting that good old-fashioned machine gun killing, and it leads to an incredibly impressive stunt. Man falls down a hillside, and I'm like, oh wow, he's falling down a hillside, but he's probably padded, and oh wow, that really, wow. At any point, surely they're going to cut to a dummy. No, not since Hot Rod have I seen such a dramatic and impressive stunt fall down a hillside. Or maybe one of the Rudy Ray Moore films. Human Tornado, I think, had a really good fall down a hillside, too. Anyway, very impressive stunts in this film. And the storyline is that basically Testi seeks retribution, vengeance on whoever it was that killed his brother. He suspects one of the other mob bosses in this group of mob bosses that engage in all this activity. And at the same time that he's seeking revenge, somebody else is wiping out the competition, shall we say, in wonderfully violent and dramatic ways. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking, it's Lucio Fulci. The man was not known for his subtlety when it comes to violencia, shall we say. And this film delivers on that. At first I thought, oh wow, it's decently made film. It's dramatic, it's interesting, it's a little low key, not as rock'em sock'em as a lot of the Italian police films tended to be, or Eurocrime films, but it's still good. Testi's great. And then the violence comes in and you're like, yes, there's the Fulci we know and love. A very, very gruesome, extended woman getting her face burned by a Bunsen burner sequence that's really gruesome. Some of even the gun killings are done Fulci style, where it's not like, why have a squib when you could have half of somebody's chest explode, that sort of thing. So if you're a Fulci fan and you're like, I don't want this cops and robbers malarkey from my gore hound, my Gorgonzola, my gore guru, this film delivers on that. Some good action, some really gruesome deaths in this film, and a really good score by Fabio Frizzi, who did a lot of the Fulci scores for the better known films. But it's a really good, Waka Chicka guitar kind of funky soundtrack for this, which is rather wonderful. So there's another sequence that I'm not going to tell you about everything, but there's another sequence that really stood out to me where Testi is meeting a guy in an informant or a thug or something. For some reason, Testi is in a sulfur pit. You don't see a lot of sulfur pits in films. He's in a sulfur pit, and fisticuffs and a scuffle ensue. He winds up throwing his foe full body into a sulfur pit, and then the next shot you see is this man's gruesomely disfigured corpse being thrown sideways through a plate glass window, landing, I believe, if I recall correctly, on the bed of one of the other mob bosses. Now, if you want to send a message to somebody to not mess with you, taking the person they sent out to kill or beat you up and throwing their dead body through the window back at that person is probably a very clear indication that you're not pleased with that course of action. So it's a fun film. As I said, a little bit more low key, very grim, very gritty. Some unintentional laughs here and there. It's presented in either Italian with English subtitles or English dubbed, depending on which way you prefer. Some of us, I know, prefer to have the original dialogue and hearing it the way they would hear it in Italy at that time, and some people prefer to watch it the way they often have seen these films with these semi-cheesy dub jobs. So extras, I will read to you. I actually have a copy of it right here. See that? Are we getting glare on that? So that's Cauldron Films, uncensored, Lucio Fulci uncensored. You also do get in a moment, I want to point out, where Fulci does a little cameo. It eventually devolves into like all-out gang war, all-out, organized crime war, and it gets like really crazy. And at one point you see Lucio Fulci oiling up a machine gun and then appearing later, moments later, wielding that machine gun and just taking people out. So if you ever wanted to see director Lucio Fulci just mowing down guys with a machine gun, this is the film for you. So, extras. I will read from my notes that are not so cleverly concealed just above this camera. We have a commentary by Troy Howarth, Nathaniel Thompson, and Bruce Holacek. Great guys who do a lot of commentaries for European films. They know their stuff, and it is informative, a little bit amusing, and just good insight into the filmmakers, the actors, the release of this film, how it was handled, how it was marketed, and some of the behind-the-scenes information about the circumstances of production and what was going on in Italy around that time in the film industry and just historically and culturally, which helps a dude like me who did not live in the 70s in Italy. Interview with the writer, Giorgio Maurizio, that's 13 minutes. I'm going to mangle all these names, by the way. Interview with actress Ivana Monti, 22 minutes. Interview with actor Saverio Marzioni, 20 minutes. Apologies to all of them, honestly. Interview with cinematographer, that's 18 minutes. They have archival interviews, which were done apparently for like a Fulci project. These are much shorter. Archival interview with Fabrizio Giovine, 5 minutes. Archival interview with actor Ventanani, I am so sorry, 5 minutes. Archival interview with cinematographer, 6 minutes. And I'll say his name too, why not? Why not mangle that one like everybody else? Sergio Savati, and archival interview with the composer Fritzi, 2 minutes. You get an English trailer under the title of The Smuggler, which is how I think it was released on video here. You get the Italian trailer, and you get an image gallery, which is 4 minutes, and it's a playthrough image gallery that is set to some of the score. So this movie, I'll hold it up so you can see what the packaging looks like. This movie is, this is cool. I love Eurocrime films. I'm not a huge Fulci fan, honestly, but I've seen some of his movies I've liked more than others, and honestly, the ones I like that I think are his better made movies for the most part tend to be his non-horror films. And so you get the front, you get the back, which is a lot of reading material, and then I'm a big fan of this. You get the reversible cover. So it's sort of a European style to do this, to do the clear cover with the reversible on the inside, so you can see a little of that there. So I enjoyed this. This is a cool title, and apparently it's making its Blu-ray debut. And Cauldron Films. Cauldron Films is new to me, though they've been around a while. This is not a brand new release, and I've got a couple others I'm going to talk about that I'm sort of playing catch up with Cauldron. But they do a really good job. These are really thorough discs, and they're titles that you might not otherwise come across. So out now from Cauldron Films on Blu-ray is Lucio Fulci's Contraband.